Caution: the following story contains disturbing content and is not suitable for children. The Haunting of Blackwood Manor. In the heart of a forgotten town stood an abandoned house known as Blackwood Manor. This is the chilling tale of a vengeful spirit that haunted its halls and the unwitting souls who dared to uncover its secrets. Welcome to The Haunting of Blackwood Manor. Blackwood Manor had been abandoned for decades, its once grand facade now a decaying shell. Locals whispered about the tragic history that shrouded the estate in darkness. The manor had belonged to the Blackwood family, who vanished under mysterious circumstances, leaving behind only rumors of madness and murder. Lydia and her friends, Sarah and Tom, were drawn to the manor by its eerie reputation. The trio were avid urban explorers, seeking thrills in forgotten places. They had heard the stories of Blackwood Manor, but their curiosity outweighed their fear. Armed with flashlights and a sense of adventure, they decided to spend a night in the haunted house. As they approached the manor, the air grew colder, and an unnatural silence enveloped them. The front door creaked open with a groan, revealing a grand but dust-covered foyer. Lydia shone her flashlight around, illuminating faded portraits and broken furniture. The house felt alive with secrets, and she could almost hear the whispers of its past inhabitants. "Let's split up and explore," Tom suggested, his voice echoing in the empty hall. "We'll cover more ground that way." Lydia and Sarah nodded, though a sense of unease settled in their stomachs. They each chose a different direction, agreeing to meet back in the foyer in an hour. Lydia ventured upstairs, her footsteps echoing through the corridors. The walls were lined with portraits of stern-looking ancestors, their eyes seeming to follow her every move. As she explored, Lydia couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She entered a bedroom, its four-poster bed draped in cobwebs. On the nightstand, she found a dusty diary. Curiosity piqued, she opened it and began to read. The entries were written by Evelyn Blackwood, the last known occupant of the manor. Evelyn's diary detailed her descent into madness. She wrote about hearing voices, seeing shadows, and feeling a malevolent presence in the house. Her final entry was a chilling warning. "The spirit is real. It will never let us go." Lydia shuddered and closed the diary. As she turned to leave, she caught a glimpse of a figure in the mirror. It was a woman with a ghastly, distorted face, hollow eyes, and an eerie grin. Lydia gasped and spun around, but the figure was gone. Her heart pounded as she fled the room. Meanwhile, Sarah was exploring the library. She marveled at the floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, filled with volumes covered in dust. She pulled out a book and flipped through its pages, but her attention was drawn to a cold draft. She turned to see the ghostly figure of a woman standing by the window, her eyes fixed on Sarah. Sarah's scream echoed through the manor, reaching Tom, who was in the basement. He ran upstairs, his flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. He found Sarah in the library, trembling and pointing towards the window. The figure was gone, but the air was still icy cold. "Lydia!" Tom shouted, panic rising in his chest. "We need to find Lydia!" The two hurried through the manor, their footsteps echoing ominously. They found Lydia in the foyer, her face pale and eyes wide with fear. "We need to leave," she said, her voice trembling. "There's something in this house, something evil." Before they could react, the front door slammed shut with a deafening bang. The lights flickered, and the temperature dropped even further. The ghostly figure appeared at the top of the staircase, its hollow eyes boring into them. It let out a chilling laugh that echoed through the manor. Lydia, Sarah, and Tom were paralyzed with fear as the ghostly figure began to descend the stairs. Its movements were slow and deliberate, as if savoring their terror. Lydia's mind raced, trying to remember anything she had read in Evelyn's diary that could help them. "Evelyn wrote about the spirit," Lydia whispered urgently. "She said it wouldn't let them go. There must be a way to stop it." Tom glanced around the foyer, his eyes landing on an old fireplace. "We need to find the source of its power," he said. "Maybe something in the house is anchoring it here." The trio quickly spread out, searching the room for anything that seemed out of place. Sarah found an old portrait of Evelyn Blackwood above the fireplace, her eyes hauntingly similar to the ghost's. Beneath the portrait, hidden behind a loose brick, they discovered a small, ornate box. Lydia opened the box with trembling hands, revealing a lock of dark hair and a pendant. She remembered reading about Evelyn's obsession with dark rituals and realized that these items might be connected to the spirit. "We need to destroy these," Lydia said, her voice steady despite the fear. "It's the only way to break the spirit's hold." As they prepared to burn the items in the fireplace, the ghost let out a blood-curdling scream. It rushed towards them, its ghastly face twisted in rage. Tom quickly threw the lock of hair and the pendant into the fire, and the flames roared to life, consuming the objects. The ghost's scream grew louder, and it writhed in agony. The house shook violently, and the lights flickered wildly. The trio huddled together, watching in horror as the spirit slowly disintegrated, its form dissolving into smoke. As the last remnants of the ghost vanished, the house fell silent. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the temperature returned to normal. Lydia, Sarah, and Tom stood there, catching their breath and trying to process what had just happened. "We did it," Sarah whispered, her voice filled with relief. "We stopped it." They quickly left the manor, feeling the weight of its dark history lift off their shoulders. They vowed never to return, and as they walked away, they saw the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon. Years passed, and the memory of their terrifying night at Blackwood Manor faded, but it never completely disappeared. Lydia continued her life, always carrying a small piece of the horror with her. She often thought about Evelyn Blackwood and the malevolent spirit that had haunted her family. Lydia became a paranormal investigator, using her experience to help others who were tormented by the supernatural. She traveled the country, investigating haunted locations and offering solace to those in need. Her work brought her a sense of purpose, and she found comfort in knowing that she was making a difference. One day, Lydia received a call about a haunting in a small town. The description of the ghost sounded eerily familiar: hollow eyes, a distorted face, and an eerie grin. Her heart sank as she realized that the spirit of Blackwood Manor might not have been fully vanquished. Determined to uncover the truth, Lydia traveled to the town and met with the family experiencing the haunting. They described terrifying encounters with a ghostly figure that appeared in their home, leaving them paralyzed with fear. Lydia investigated the house thoroughly, searching for any signs of a connection to Blackwood Manor. In the attic, she found an old mirror covered in dust. As she wiped it clean, she saw the ghostly figure's reflection staring back at her, its grin more menacing than ever. The spirit had somehow transferred its essence into the mirror, continuing its reign of terror in a new location. Lydia knew that she had to act quickly to stop it once and for all. She contacted Professor Clark, who had helped her years ago, and together they devised a plan to destroy the mirror and banish the spirit. They gathered the necessary ingredients and prepared for a final confrontation. As they began the ritual, the ghost appeared, its eyes glowing with fury. It let out a deafening scream and lunged at them, but Lydia and Professor Clark stood their ground. They chanted the incantation, their voices unwavering. The mirror trembled, and cracks began to form on its surface. The spirit writhed in agony, its form becoming more transparent. With one final push, Lydia and Professor Clark completed the ritual, and the mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces. The ghost let out a final echoing scream before dissipating into the air. The house fell silent, and the oppressive presence was gone. Lydia and Professor Clark breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that they had finally put an end to the spirit's torment. The story of the haunting of Blackwood Manor serves as a chilling reminder that some spirits are not easily vanquished. Lydia's bravery and determination saved her from a malevolent entity, but the experience left a lasting mark. Always be cautious of the things you bring into your home, and never underestimate the power of the unknown. Thank you for joining us for this spine-chilling tale. If you enjoyed The Haunting of Blackwood Manor, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that will keep you up at night. Until next time, remember, Sometimes the greatest horrors are the ones we cannot see.